Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is and peace out to the rest of you. Black heart, black mind, black in again. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Let me get right to it. I'm not angry, but I am insulted. Vivica Fox slapped not just light-skinned brothers in the face either. She slapped brothers in the face, talking about some Harry's light-skinned Harry now because he's defending Meghan Markle. And I'm not knocking his attempt to defend her and his concern for her security like normal. I'm because he now doesn't have the security detail he previously did. I'm not knocking him for that per se, but he ain't no honorary black man. Even if he has that black ancestor, Queen Charlotte, he ain't no honorary black man. See, the fact remains that despite his individual possibility of goodness or not, his family still defines white privilege. They are the definition of it. Their flesh has been nourished for generations by white supremacy, slavery and colonization. Their lifestyle has been maintained for generations by this. You've got generation after generation that ain't never had to work a day in their further mucking lives, no real job because of it. So the existence of a black ancestor who was probably the great-great-great-grandmother of his own grandmother doesn't qualify him. Now, I'm a man that some of you would look at and think was Hispanic, as if that's automatically not black, or maybe mixed. And I'm sitting up here telling you, and I'll explain why I'm qualified to say that. And Vivica's not. See, as a Gulf Coast Creole who didn't even know I was Creole till I was 20, but as a Gulf Coast Creole, black folks on the Gulf Coast in general, Creole or not, but especially Creoles, are trained to spot black blood in someone, even if the person carrying it does not know it. We've had to spot that. Had to. And there are times when we see people and we really don't know. We're not sure. If you really want to know the truth, it's possible for someone to carry some black blood in a very small quantity and we don't know. But for the most part, we're still trained to spot it. I see it in a lot of people I walk past every day over here. Yep. I can tell not only do they have it, but it's not even from 4 generations ago. I didn't say no more than 4. I said it is not 4. That means it's not the grandparent of the grandparent. It is the parent of the grandparent at furthest away from the person I'm looking at. Got some people out here, no nose, no lips, any skin tone, hair just as beady, nappy as you could imagine. Yeah. You got some cats here quite look like charcoal, hair just as straight. Got everything here. But anyway, I'm trained. And when I looked at Harry, I would have never known he had a black ancestor. Whoever was the unmixed black ancestor of Queen Charlotte, I would have never known was related to him. Ever. I would have had no clue. Stop and think about that. Vivica looks at him, probably unaware of Queen Charlotte, and says he's an honorary black man because of his defense of Meghan Markle. He light-skinned Harry. Hold up. Vivica has to be aware that there is a discussion about putting just lighter-skinned men out of the race. If they're the least bit ambiguous looking, how are you going to try to slide this man in? One of my Muslim brothers in Indonesia, who's also a subscriber, would deserve that title long before Prince Harry. Now, granted, this Muslim brother in Indonesia is not famous. I'm talking about Artso. Assalamu alaikum. Apa kabar, saudaro? Anyway, he's part of a neighborhood patrol at night in his area. That's not only some masculine stuff to do. That is some black Muslim masculine stuff to do from the U.S. because they started neighborhood patrols independent of police officers. He's doing this in Jakarta. This man would take it as a compliment if you call him black. He told his wife, "You ain't using skin bleach under my roof. Ain't nothing wrong with the color that Allah gave you." Now that's black. If you're going to slip someone in and try to make them black when their DNA does not code for it, that's someone more deserving. Forget about me, because this really ain't just about me, but on behalf of others, I am quite insulted. Even on his behalf, even though his DNA codes him as Southeast Tropical Asian, I'm insulted. I'm angry on behalf of Art Zuck, not against him. I look and I say, man, this ain't fair to him. So Prince Harry can stroll. Why? Because he's a white dude with money defending a somewhat black woman. If it was me or even Art Zuck defending that woman, or any other black man defending Meghan Markle, guess what? You just defending her because she light-skinned, that heifer. What this means, gentlemen, is that Vivica Fox is a criteria. You can now look at not just her, you can look at who agrees with her and say, we got to write that B word off. They agree with her, she's to be written off. I don't hate Vivica per se, but she's part of the problem. Even though I don't remember her going in on Cube that much, it was somebody else that did it. Vivica and Lisa Ray weren't the ones digging in the Cube. This is still problematic right here. Unless she was just joking, she didn't really mean it. And in that case, you can turn everything up. You can turn off what I'm playing right now and I'll stand corrected. But if in the event that she was not joking and she meant it, that's a problem. Really, to be willing to joke like that with so straight of a face is a problem. Because I can tell you now straight up. Lately, I ain't been brother saying he ain't black. Talking about me. It ain't been brothers really saying that others around ain't black. Like my friend from Eritrea who actually looks more Arab than Eritrean. And his friend from Yemen who looks more East African than Arab. Ironically. You hear about a pair of friends. One is Yemeni, one's Eritrean. You see the Yemeni and think he's the Eritrean and vice versa. You can take them and nobody's looking at them and saying, y'all ain't black. Ain't no men walking around saying this to them. I mean, the local men might say that if the subject comes up, but for the most part, no. But what winds up being the case really, when we hear this, it's some sisters. The blackness of an ambiguous looking woman depends on her not marrying a black man, especially a dark-skinned black man. The blackness of an ambiguous looking man, it really depends on his inconvenience, not his convenience, but his inconvenience. It's accepted as long as it's inconvenient for him. Sometimes that's more important than the convenience of that to other black people. As long as it's inconvenient for me, sisters won't argue about me being black. It just has to be inconvenient for me. Same with other brothers. If it's convenient for them, well, that's a bonus. But for the most part, it just needs to be inconvenient for me. Cop pulls me over. If I make it out alive, you didn't tell him you're black, did you? He didn't ask. That's not good enough. You got away alive because he didn't know you're black. I see. I needed to tell him I'm black so that he would up the ticket, arrest me, pull out a gun, shoot me, that sort of thing. So if it's inconvenient for me, then it's okay, even though it would have done nothing in your favor. Same thing. When it's convenient for a black man to be black, then he's to accept that he's not black, i.e., just being treated the same way by black women as other black men are treated. Nope, that's too convenient for me. Being respected by attractive black women in public, in America. Too convenient for me. No, then it's not okay for me to be black because that would make it convenient. Same for other black men. I want y'all to stop and factor that in. This is not a joke. Gentlemen, it is real. it is true that we're looking at a group of women that, on one hand, do find us sexually attractive on average. I don't include myself in that. No, actually, I do, because I see that's the thing. I was told to think I was non select for so long, I keep forgetting at times that visually I'm select. It's just not socially, because, again, what you can't show off in public. I see, I have to remind myself of that. But the point I was getting at is that we're dealing with our own race of women, so to speak. Not necessarily our own women, just women of our own biogenetic racial makeup, looking at us and seeing sexual attraction to a certain extent, but still wishing that we were massa. And the funny thing is that even if we became massa tomorrow, they would not be able to listen to us. But what's happened is that this mental illness has made it's made some of them the definition of hypocrisy. Because I can tell you now, and tell you straight, I've never heard Vivica Fox even ever mention Vin Diesel. Maybe she did. I never heard it. But yet and still, she'll sit up here and take Prince Harry, who's lived his life as comfortably as he has because of the suffering of our ancestors, and try to initiate him as and make him honorary as light-skinned Harry for protecting a woman that any unambiguous black man would be shamed for protecting. See, a similar thing happened with Kamala Harris one day when she was on stage long time ago. I think it was during the summer, because I remember being in the U.S. on vacation, watching it happen on TV, and her husband pushed an intrusive white guy away from her, out of her space. And to his credit, that's what a husband would do for a wife. I'm not knocking Kamala's husband for doing that for her. I'm simply saying, hell, if it had actually been me, if I'd been married to Kamala, and I was on stage and somebody violates our space, and in her defense, I come in between and shove this guy out the way, I would have been told that I was only protecting her because she's a light-skinned heifer. If I admit that I'm black, I would have been told that. If I denied it and said that I was another person of color, it could have gone either way. If I said that I was white, nobody would believe it. But if I actually was white and I defended Kamala Harris, same thing. We already know what that would have been, because it already happened. Her husband is white. I remember sisters even saying back then, well, see, he defended his black queen. But had I done so, admitting that I'm black, I would have been castigated for it. And had I not done it, admitting that I'm black, I would have been castigated for it. And it's not just me. I'm using myself as an example. But any of you that has any black blood and tells it and self-identifies as black, you'd have been castigated if you defended her. If Jesse Williams defended her, he'd have been castigated for it. But what I've come to understand, gentlemen, is that really, in a nutshell, what the gynocrats are telling us is, black men, you have to accept being ill-treated. You have to. If you don't have an option, You don't deserve anything better. You must accept being ill-treated by us. If we treat a man of another race better, shut the hell up, deal with it because they deserve it and you don't. And if they do for us what we say we want you to do, we'll not castigate them, yet we will castigate you if you did it. We will only not castigate you, maybe praise you, but we'll only not castigate you if you get busy defending those of us who least deserve protection. Then, and preferably if you die in the process of doing so, then we will lionize you and praise you, but we will never validate you while you're alive, even if you do what we say. Not gonna happen. You need to die in the defense of those of us who are not only the least deserving, but also the least attractive while being the least deserving of defense. In other words, you need to die in defense of someone amongst us who looks like a man and acts like, I wouldn't say a man, but acts like a overly compensating macho boy, picking fights with everybody while looking like the ugliest of men. Then you die in her defense and validate her womanhood, and when you're dead, then we'll validate your manhood. And there's no other way we will ever consider you to be a man. That's really what's going on. That's what they're saying to us. So use Vivica as a criteria. Somebody agrees with her, write that B word off. Thank you for listening. Black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, black, heterosexual, non-select male power just because they don't like it. And black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.